Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Meta Cafe. Hold on. I'm cracking myself up because I totally forgot to plug in my mic, and hopefully you can still hear me. Hold on. I may have to go out and come back in. Hold on. Can you guys, I don't see anybody out there. Can anybody hear me? How bizarre. Well, good morning to everybody. Anyway, I'm going to go out and come in. Morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. I'm glad to see you all. Grab your cup of coffee or tea, sit back, enjoy some astrology and mostly human design today. I apologize. When I went to get in, I had inadvertently unplugged my microphone, and then I wasn't sure if anybody could hear me, and I couldn't see anybody. It was like it was a vast no man's land out there. And then I came back in, and now I see a bunch of people. I see good morning, Lynn. Good morning, Terry. And Debbie, good morning to you. Suzanne, Willa, Debbie Hedden, good morning to you too. Patricia Woods, Mimi, nice to see you all out there this morning. We have a lot to talk about today, and a lot that maybe some of you don't really understand much about, because usually in the morning we're talking about astrology. And today we're going to talk about some astrology, but we're also going to dive into human design. Happy Human Design New Year to all of you. This is the point in which in human design astrology that the new year begins. It begins when the sun gets to the gate 41, which is the gate of imagination and creativity, where fantasy becomes reality. And we've had a lot of experience with this particular gate over the year 2018, as at different times planets were sitting there. And we actually at one point did a deep dive into gate 41, where we realized that fantasy and imagination is one thing, and getting it concretized, getting it brought into reality is a completely different thing. And the fallacy of the gate 41, the problem in the gate 41, if you could say that there is one, is that we tend to keep all of these ideas and creative energies up here in our head, and we never take action on them. And so it is a place in the chart where we have to, I always say, where the rubber has to hit the road, right? Where we actually have to go out and do something about the creative energies that are swirling around within us. Good morning, Tina. Good morning, Michelle Brooks. It's great to see you ladies out there as well. Good morning, Colleen. Good morning, Tom. Holy cow, Tom, you're up early. Let's see who else is out there that I missed. That's it. Sit back or sit up. Good day. Sit up and sit back. Either way, whatever you want to do, Tom, just do it. So let's take a quick look then at the astrology of the day, and then we'll transition over into the human design new year and what that means for all of us, and what can we glean from where things are today and where they end up going throughout the course of this year. It really does give us access to some of the themes that we will experience, at least on the bigger picture, the bigger, wider world stage. In your own personal design, if you have your chart in front of you, you'll be able to take a look and see whether you're personally going to have conditioning issues with some of the places the planets move to. So today we have the moon in Leo, its final day in the sign of imagination and creativity, amazingly enough. And it is in the later degrees today. When I pulled the chart this morning, it's about 22 degrees. And that means that we are aimed at a void of course moon today, because the moon will get ready to change from Leo into Virgo. The void moon is from 5:20 p.m. till 7:23 p.m. my time. So what is that? 8:20 to 10:23 tonight for you all on the East Coast. Great thing, right? I don't mind if a VOC happens late in the day. The work week or the workday is winding down and there isn't much left to do. So the moon can do whatever it wants to at that point in time. I don't mind. So the only major action going on with the moon today is its trine to Uranus. So in a way, we have some real imaginative, creative energy through where the moon's placed in Leo, but we also maybe have some epiphanies, revelations, ahas coming up because of its relationship with Uranus. So be prepared for surprises, be prepared for the unexpected, because that happens when the moon is in a trine to the planet Uranus. It's funny because I was just thinking about this. My friend Michelle this morning texted me and said she was on her way to take her daughter to a Great Wolf Lodge or something like that, and which is a fun, swimming place. And on the way, her tire went flat or went low and a sensor was going off. Her plan was to be down that way by 7:30 in the morning. Unfortunately, now she's stuck here until 8 o'clock when the tire place opened up. So be prepared for the unexpected, right? She was really upset and impatient. And, I get it. I get that. But you have no clue what the universe may be protecting you from, or what it is that there is to expect in divine right timing. And there's another reason for that. And that is because today is the Venus conjunct Jupiter day. And wouldn't you know it, this morning, the Pacific Northwest is clouded over. So I really, really, really wanted to be able to go outside and see how close those two planets were sitting to one another. So I hope maybe somewhere along the line, one of you was able to go out and see the sky, our sky, too clouded. I can't see. Not even Venus can shine bright enough to get through the murk out there this morning. But hopefully you all were able to go outside and see those two planets in a conjunction. And what that brings to us today is a heavy, heavy dose of optimism. And if we take the planet Venus and what she represents, love, money, values, and Libran qualities like cooperation and generosity, and Taurus qualities like abundance and flow. And then we take Jupiter and we take his qualities, which are all really about abundance and optimism and growth and evolution. We put those two together. We have the two benefic planets in the same degree of space. And it is a great day. A great day for cooperating with one another, for being optimistic and being able to see the bigger picture of where it is your life is going, of what the meaning is behind some of the things that are going on in your life. It is a really good day for that type of optimism. And then also forgiveness and generosity and some of the more highly spiritually evolved energies that we can think of. There is a tendency, of course, we have Jupiter involved. There's a tendency to overdo, overindulge, overspend. So you want to make sure that you're keeping everything in proportion and that you're not overdoing anything, right? You don't want to do that. It may favor being optimistic and generous and all of that, but you've got to stay within reason as well. This is also a very affectionate kind of connection. You may feel affectionate and more loving and giving toward your family, your friends, your coworkers, your general tribe or community that you're in as well. There's also a sense, and this is, kind of what I was thinking about with my friend Michelle this morning and her issues. There's a sense of things coming together as if in perfect timing. And that's because both Venus and Jupiter are at the gate 5 in your human design. Gate 5, I'm going to show you a quick chart here. Gate 5 sits right here. You see the red sacral square here? This is gate 5 right here. And Venus and Jupiter are both sitting here, and they're moving up toward the soul center. So even if you don't have gate 5 normally defined in your chart, you have it now because you've got two major planets sitting there, and it is a gate of rhythm and timing. And it is a place in our human design where we can become very impatient, especially if something's blocking our path forward, or we interpret somehow that we're being stopped or slowed, or that something's in our way. And it causes us then to become impatient and want to push the river, want to push our way into something rather than just accepting what is going on as a product of the timing, whether we're in timing, right timing, or out of the right timing. So timing is everything here with Venus and Jupiter during this period of time. So, and as it stands, that gate 5 becomes very important as a harbinger of things to come, because Jupiter is the planet that represents rewards and recognition in our human design. It's a little bit different than it is in regular astrology, in that it is Jupiter that we look to see where our rewards, where we can reap rewards. And if Jupiter is sitting at the gate of patience, we reap our best rewards then this year. The biggest lessons we will learn this year around getting recognized and heard and valued for our contributions is when we are in right timing, when we have the patience to wait for the universe to align everything correctly for us. And then when we perceive something as a block or something, in the way of our getting what we want when we want it, that there must be something bigger that we don't see that the universe is putting together for us. I mean, for example, it could be, she's trying to get down to an area south of Seattle. Could there be a big accident that she'd get tied up in? Is there, some person that she would be meant to meet at a specific time? And that can only happen if she has a tire issue that holds her up for an hour. See what I'm saying? The universe can contrive many different things that we don't have access to in our conscious mind. So we have to sort of learn to go with the flow. So today is a day like that, where things are coming together easier when we sit back and just allow ourselves to be in that flow, and to just basically open ourselves up to the universe and say, show me the right timing. I'll be there in the right timing. All right. Any questions? Let's say what people are saying this morning. Good day. Good morning, everyone that I've missed. Tina says, I am ready to come out of the spiritual closet with my business, corporate community. Is that the effect of the new year? Most definitely could be, Tina. Because gate 41, just let me give you a visual here. Gate 41 is sitting right here at the very base of your human design, the root center. Remember, the root center is the impulse to action. It is the impulse to life on this planet, right? It is the interface between your energy, and the earth. And that interface right now, the sun, putting a lot of focus on our imagining and creating and getting ready out of the fantasy and out of the imagination to put things into concrete action. So definitely that is what's going on. Suzanne, I hope I answered that question for you. It is down here at the very bottom of the chart, gate 41. This is where the human design year starts, and it is starting as anything else does. The takeaway message is that the foundational energy of the entire year, of your entire existence, lies in your imagination, lies in your creative energy. And you see that it's interesting to me that the root center here and gate 41 is leading us over to the emotional center. All these times we think of manifesting and getting what we want as a function of thought processes. And guess what? There's no thinking down here. This isn't the thinking place. That's up here. We're a very long way away from the thinking place when you get down to it, right? It's all about the creative energy, the impulse to create. So it is almost as if you could say that we as human beings come to the planet ready to create, ready to use our imagination to write on the tabula rasa of our lives, right? The blank slate. And then combined with the other energies of the month, at least from a human design perspective, we have the story, right? The storyteller is very prominent this year with the North Node sitting at the gate 56. I think it's the North Node. It is the North Node. So your life path trajectory deeply engaged in the story that you're telling, the story of humanity. And if we look at the story of humanity, there are many types of stories, and that's of people elevating themselves out of the dark and into the light, out of the poverty level and into wealth. There is a lot of that kind of story going on, and it asks the question, what is the story that you're telling yourself? And then looking at your own self as the creator of that story, right? That story comes from you. So let's see. Good morning, Crystal. Good morning, Vanita. Debbie, Debbie pulled a card for us today. Yay. The card for today from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck is the number 1 card, upright, the Yang card. It represents the power of action to make things happen. Manifesting thought and desire into action, what you want will come to fruition if you proceed with confidence. No reason to hesitate. You are the shaper of your destiny. Perfect. Number 1 card since this is the first day of the new year in human design. Wow, Debbie, I couldn't have done that better if I tried. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. And then Suzanne, of course, has posted angel number 1 information for us there. Good morning, Vicki. Thank you so much, Suzanne. Elise, good morning. That you're new. That's great. I'm so happy to meet you. Thank you for being here. And I'm really excited that you guys are drawing these conclusions. It's perfect, right? You guys are learning. I feel like now I'm making an impact here on people's lives. You get it. You get it that you are the creators of your realities, and that today is a very powerful day as it initiates the action on creative energy. Now, I want to take you somewhere else with this, because it's not just the sun, right? The earth is equally as important in all of this, as in that is where your feet are planted. Your feet are planted here on the earth, and the earth is at gate 31. The sun is at 41. So the earth planted at gate 31 is about leadership. The 31 is about inspired leadership. Not me grabbing the reins of power and imprinting my authority over yours, as has been his story, history, where the victor is the one that writes the story. Instead, what we have is this inspired leadership, our ability to rise up and be promoted, if you will, by spirit to be the leader in whatever realm it is that we are in. Every one of you right now has gate 31 defined. Gate 31 sits on the throat center. Here's the gate 31. Now, let's talk about that for a minute, because some of you might be new. And if you have your human design chart in front of you, and by the way, I know I did see a couple of requests for charts come in this morning, and I did not get a chance to do those for you, and I apologize for that. I will get those to you later in the day today. I don't know if any of you are the ones that are watching the broadcast, but if you are, you can always check back in your chart later. So the gate 31 in your chart, if you have, it's right here on the corner of the throat center. If you have it open, which means it would be white, it means that normally you're inconsistently called on for leadership ability. Not everybody could be the leaders, right? We have leaders and we have followers. Not everybody is designed or feels like they need to be the leader. And here right now, though, we all have this gate defined. And does it confuse things a little bit, perhaps, in your life to see suddenly that you're being called on to become a leader? Or does it mean more that through the creative imagination of the gate 41, are you now being called upon to bring yourself out into the world to share your gifts and your talents via the gate 31 of leadership? So, I mean, there can be leaders. I guess there could be various types of leadership where, you bringing out the best of what you do could be a form of inspired leadership, right? Putting yourself out there, daring to be different. In Tina, that kind of makes sense for me for you, because what did you say here? La la la, Tina. I lost your thing here. You were before Debbie. There you go. You say you are ready to come out of the spiritual closet with your business, corporate, community. Is that an effect of the new year? Yes, it is. But it's also the effect of the earth at gate 31 that is pushing us, promoting us to come out and be leaders and share our gifts in very profound ways. I don't care what the gift is, right? You could have a gift of feng shui, you could have the gift of leadership in terms of really being a leader, a manager, or a promoter. You could have a gift of cleaning, you could have a gift of any number of things, but if you aren't sharing it, it all goes for naught. So it's about bringing out your inspired leadership. And so that's what the sun and earth are bringing us to. Now, some of you may have that gate defined already in your chart. I thought I saw Tom saying something about it's black. The 31 for me is black and white. It can't be black and white. It's either black or white. It could be 31 is black and the connection at gate 7 is white. But you can't have black and white. You can have black and red. If it's black and red striped at gate 31, you have more than just one planet sitting there. If it's just plain black and hanging where the other half of it is white, this is a place where you will be electromagnetically attracted to someone who has the opposite end, the gate 7, right? Where together you form a powerful team for leadership. But what you find in human design is leadership isn't authoritarian. It's democratic. It is an elected position, if you will. It is a position where you cannot just grab power. You cannot just do a power grab. We've seen sort of the bastardized version of it in our outer world lately, where there have been power grabs, and that is the wrong use of the energy of leadership. And then it invokes karma ultimately as a way to correct. So that is why authoritarian governments get so easily overthrown, because we are not designed as human beings to have that kind of government or that kind of rule. The rule is much more democratic, humanitarian oriented. So let's see. Someone's asking questions here, Tom. It's white at 31 and black at 7. So what that means, Tom, is if you pulled a transit chart for yourself today, the earth would be sitting at gate 31. And for the short term, you have the whole channel of leadership defined. And here's where the interesting thing comes in with human design, because you temporarily have access to the whole channel of leadership. And if you go out in the world now and you just take over the reins of leadership in some, maybe a group, an organization, a community that you're involved in, it would not last very long, because it is conditioned for you right now to behave in that manner, because another planet is sitting there. It's not the truth of who you are. The truth of who you are is far more inconsistent as a leader. And as soon as, let's say you did take the power, somebody did invite you, maybe they invite you in, it's on the throat center. You could be invited to become the leader. You may struggle with leadership after the week is over, because that energy passes on. And now you're left with just the gate 7 hanging. And then it's inconsistent leadership. So I hope that makes sense to people, that this is if you have it open in your chart natally, and then suddenly it's filled in by a transiting planet, then you have access to it for the short term. Right? And it easily becomes a place where you lose yourself, where you lose your true authority because of the conditioning field. So if people have questions about conditioning, go ahead and write those in the chat, and I'll look back at those in a moment. Vicky saying my 31 is red, hanging, unconscious, right? So let's look at that for a moment. And this particular chart isn't going to help me show you that, but let's see if I have another regular old human design chart in here of somebody's. I thought I saw one the other day. Yes. I don't know who that person is and whether they would want me to show their chart. I don't know who that is and whether they'd want me to show their chart. Hold on, guys. I just want to show you something here. All right, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take away this person's name for a moment to preserve their anonymity. Of course, up there, that's also their name. Okay, so here's a regular old human design chart. And what you see on your chart are two columns of numbers. The column in the black is called the design or personality, excuse me. The personality column is black. I also call this column the conscious line. And this whole column here is your soul purpose. Soul's purpose. All the way down. Each one of these planets, right? Your soul's purpose. So these are traits that you recognize more fully in yourself. That if this person, if I would tell this person with the sun at gate 22, sometimes you're charming and sometimes you're not. And when you're not charming and you go out into the world, you have a very bad day. When you're feeling charming and you go out in the world, you have a very good day, right? So that's the soul's purpose, and that person would probably recognize that quite easily about themselves. Now, the red column is called the design. It is the date approximately 90 days before you were born. We say it is the unconscious line, and it represents your life purpose. Life purpose, in that these are the traits you will discover about yourself as you move through your life, right? They will fully round you out. So your soul's purpose, you're much more aware of, you're conscious of. The life purpose is a little more unconscious, and you will discover this as you move through your life. In fact, it may be that other people see these traits in you before you see them in yourself. So, Vicki, when you have something in the red, it's coming from your life purpose and something that you will discover about yourself as your life progresses. If it's coming from the black, if it's black, then it's coming from a planet on this side, and it's part of your soul's purpose. Now, sometimes, like for instance, look at here, this person has Venus sitting at gate 41. So Venus happened to be in the same place for 3 months. It must have been in retrograde and was just hanging there or had just gone direct. And so in his chart, his gate 41 is already striped. He's got it conscious and unconsciously defined. So this person is always turned on in terms of creative energy and imagination. And this person likely struggles, this person whose chart I'm holding up, likely struggles in bringing to fruition the things from his imagination or her imagination. I hope that makes sense, right? Does that help? And Patricia says, my throat is undefined and 31 is white. So 31 for you is undefined. But today, and for the rest of this week, gate 31 is sitting at the earth is sitting at gate 31. So temporarily, you have access to 31, to the energy of leadership. You will be seen more appropriately as a leader during this week, but you have to remember it's temporary energy. And it doesn't feel as correct to you to be that long term as it does to you just during this week. So it's important to know what's true and authentically yours and who you truly and authentically are. Then when transits happen with planets, you don't get misidentified, right? You don't get sort of conditioned by the field and what's going on. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Mimi says, interesting year ahead, 31 to 7 in black. So that means, Mimi, you're here to be a leader, right? From your birth, your soul's purpose is in the channel of leadership. So today really doesn't make much of a difference for you, other than the emphasis on you pulling out those leadership qualities may be more powerful. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so I'm going to go on, and if you have questions, I'll go back. So let me put this chart away for a moment. So the sun and the earth are at 41 and 31. But if we take a snapshot view of today and the inner planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, they also give us some idea as to personally what type of things we may be working with in the year. So we already know fantasy and imagination and inspired leadership, but Mercury is at gate 60, which is the gate of realism. The gate 60 sits down here on, guess what? Our foundation, our root, right? The impulse to take action at gate 60 is connected to Uranus at gate 3 right now. So it turns on the sacral and it turns on the root center for everyone. So right now, my projectors, my manifestors, my reflectors all have a defined sacral. And the sacral being the engine for work and production and vitality and sustainable life force energy can really start to blow out the energy for the projectors, manifestors, and the reflectors. Why? Because right now you have access to this energy that is not natally your own. So your tendency might be to keep those engines running, and feeling like you can do and be anything that you want to. And later you will pay the price. Later you will pay the price when you burn out, when you are tired, when you are lying in bed going, oh my God, I can't even raise my head. So you want to be very careful. If you are a manifestor, a projector, or a reflector, you want to be very careful right now. With those two centers defined, you might feel like you can take on the world, and you probably could, but you have to recognize it's temporary. And the fact that you're a projector or manifestor or a reflector still holds sway. You still need rest. You still cannot do that ad nauseum. You still cannot do and enter into things without those invitations, or else you will blow out your energy. So knowing your human design can be very much a lifesaver when something like a long-term transit turns on right here. And then, creates this connection between two centers. And even if let's say you don't have a defined root center, this is the center that in our human design represents adrenalized stress. So people who have an open root center, meaning this whole center here would be white, you now have that defined, and you may again be pushing yourself, right? You're using adrenalized stress to get things done. And that will turn off eventually. And then you're left feeling really tired and bedraggled because you've been using energy that wasn't your own, that you were borrowing it, sort of, so to speak. So Mercury sitting there at a dose of realism and creating a need for acceptance of whatever is occurring in the moment. The gene key 60 is about limitation in its lowest form in the shadow. And then we realize that we are the ones that have been holding the key to our limitation, and we learn to let go of that. And of course, the planet Mercury rules the mind and also our communication and how we speak, and what we think and how we think. So right now we need to be thinking in realistic terms, but what is realism? And how does it differ from limitation? Right? So I've been around many people who almost use the word realism, or, they'll say something like, get real. And that almost wants to make you feel like, you're not living in a real world, like you're living in some kind of fantasy world, or that in some way that you're not living correctly, that, you're out of your head, out of your mind. But realism in human design and in the gene keys is about using the dynamics of the real world to get yourself where you want to go, right? Recognizing that we are on a physical planet, that things really do take time, but that magic happens. And that 60 is really a gate of transition and transformation, transforming through magical means into the real world. Not looking at the world with only the scientific, logical, real viewpoint. So realism takes on a different meaning here in human design. Venus and Jupiter, we already talked about, both sitting at the gate 5, bringing us a dose of patience. In the shadow, it's impatience. In the gift, it is patience. And it is timelessness in its highest expression. Time of no time, right? Where things happen because it's the right timing. It's the rhythm. It's the breath of the universe. And there isn't anything we can do to make it go faster or to slow it down. It just goes at its pace. That we need to learn patience. And all things come to those who wait, right? And if something gets in your way, then the warning here is to not push the river, right? Everything happens in its own rhythm and timing. And the tendency for a lot of people right now who normally don't have this defined, but today do, and for a while yet have this defined, would be to get impatient and try to push. No pushing allowed, unless you're having a baby, and then in which case your doctor tells you when to push, and you push and a baby pops out, right? Again, right timing. If you try to push that baby out too early, it doesn't work. In fact, you can actually harm yourself, using that as a metaphor. Okay, Mars, the planet of action, the planet in human design that represents our evolving maturity and the actions that we take versus the reactions that we do. So the maturing process takes us away from reaction and into action, right? Like deliberate action, planned action, breath before reacting and then taking action. So the planet Mars is sitting at the gate of control and authority. Mars at the gate 21 to me is kind of fascinating because 21 is on the ego center, the will center right here. And it is part of the money line. It moves up to the throat, meets the throat at gate 45. And this is the center for managing and allocating resources. And literally, the gate 21 is the bookkeeper end of the money line. It isn't the spending end. The spending end is the 45 end. But the gate 21 really knows how to be resourceful. And to, in some way, that being resourceful is at the effect of being controlled or controlling. Unfortunately, in our world, we have taken the energy at gate 21 to be that of controlling people, the flow of energy, the flow of money, and taking ourselves away from being in alignment with spirit and being more proactive in the things that we do, controlling everything. So we use it inappropriately. When we use this energy appropriately, we stand in our authority, and our authority comes from a deeper place within us, and we manage and allocate our resources based from that authority. Now, for those of you who do not normally have gate 21 defined, suddenly you have Mars, a planet known for its impatience, a planet known for reaction, sitting at the gate of control. And there may be things happening in your world that you feel like are a little bit out of control. So you try to take measures to control it, to bring it into your, sphere of influence and lock it down instead of just relaxing and let it going with the flow. So Mars at 21 with Venus and Jupiter at gate 5 can make things a little bit difficult, right? It can make for us to be sort of chomping at the bit to get things done, to get to where we want to go, to make things happen. And we forget that would pull us out of timing, right? The wrong timing. So patience also playing out in Mars being at gate 21. And, again, this is a snapshot of the day today. Now, Mars moves on. I think tomorrow, actually, Mars moves out of the gate 21. Mars at 21 moves out. Yeah, tomorrow. Yikes. Tomorrow moves out of 21 and into gate 51, the gate of shock. And that should be interesting. But we start the year, the new year, with it at the gate of control. And something, I would imagine something tomorrow and into the next few days that happens that's shocking in some way, and it pulls us out of that ability to control. Be prepared. That's all I can say. Be prepared. and, stay open, stay calm. Shock isn't designed, in human design, isn't about punishment, and it isn't about scaring you or creating more fear on the planet. It's really about awakening. It's really called in Gene Keys, it's about awakening, right? And in human design, it's part of the channel of the initiation into the higher realms of being. So it's almost like a call to ascend, to expand, to grow. But often it's a shock that happens first because we're so obstinate as a species. Sometimes it takes a lot of injection of energy to get us to move, to get us to change. So I don't know what that means. I mean, a lot of things can happen. Personally, if you do not have those gates defined, suddenly there's something out there that can act as an awakener for you, that snaps your attention, that breaks your reverie, that breaks your comfort zone, takes you out of your comfort zone. So Mars will be playing that role for us in the next few days. But as for today, he is taking us out. Maybe the shock is that you realize I really am out of control. I don't have control over these things, that all I can do is live from my own authority. Cool, huh? Let's see, any other comments, people making no questions? No, good. So now let's take a look at the outer planets when they make changes in human design. Are far more telling in terms of where we are going as humanity than the inner planets. And that's because in human design, unlike astrology, where there's 30 degrees of each sign, and the planets are moving through a degree. In human design, they each gate takes up a span of degrees. So, for example, an outer planet like Pluto can sit for months at one gate. And it's really teaching us the lesson of that gate. It is creating the transformation on a collective level then, instead of just a personal level. So when we look at the human design year, we really want to look at the outer planets in terms of where are we going? What is the trajectory for us for the year? Because those are the gates that are going to be static for longer, right? Where the inner planets, the sun, one gate a week, the earth, one gate a week, and Mercury, a couple of gates a week, Venus, a couple of gates a week. The further out you get, the longer a planet is sitting at a gate, and the more amount of time we have to evolve through that energy. I hope that makes sense to people. Good morning, Kathy. It's good to see you. And so when we want to look at what's coming ahead for the year, we really want to focus on those outer planets because it's telling us where humanity is going. The first planet we're going to look at then is Jupiter, and it is the closest of the planets that I think of as the outer planets. And so it will move through more gates than some of the other ones that we're going to look at today. But Jupiter shows us our path to reward. In your if I'm doing a life purpose reading for you, for example, in your human design, we're going to look at the interaction between Jupiter and your life rewards and Saturn at your karma and your lessons. The two gates that they sit at in your own human design tell us a lot about how it is that you're going to evolve, what it is you need to learn in order to reap your Jupiter rewards. So as humanity then, what is it that we're learning coming through Saturn? And then how are we reaping the rewards through Jupiter? So we're going to look at them sort of backwards here for a moment. I'm going to go to Saturn first and talk about what the karma is. What are the bigger lessons that we're learning? And then I'm going to go backwards a planet to Jupiter and talk about the rewards that we reap when we learn those lessons. So when you're looking at your own personal chart, let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 9th symbol down is Jupiter. The 10th symbol down is Saturn. So I want you to look at Saturn first, the 10th symbol, and then go up one to find your Jupiter. So Saturn until August 9th of this year will be sitting at the 38. And the 38 is the gate of struggle. And it is about persevering. It is the path, literally, of from struggle to honor via perseverance. That's taking it through Gene Keys speak, if you will. So we are designed, the gate 38, by the way, sits also on this root center, this foundational energy right here. It's this middle line. And the gate 38 is this gate of struggle. We are designed to struggle and fight, right? Fight. In human design, the gate's called fight. In Gene Keys, it's struggle. I use both kind of interchangeably. Fight to me has that negative connotation of, arguing and fighting and, fist fighting and things like that. So if we use the word struggle, it is our ability as human beings to have a cause and to fight to get to bring the changes into the world that we want. It is the the cause behind, or the struggle to bring a cause into fruition. And in this gate, we have to learn to struggle for the right things, for something that is worthwhile, for something that is adaptive and not maladaptive. So I know a lot of you aren't necessarily watching us from the US. You might be in, Europe or other places, but certainly you've heard of the struggle in this country about this damn wall and the fact it's clogged up our government and all of this kind of stuff. And when I think about the struggle here, the struggle is meant to be something that's going to be adaptive for human beings, to take us on the long journey, not just for the moment. And when I think about this wall idea, and it's not about the politics of the wall, just any kind of wall, it is not adaptive in the long run. It isn't adaptive in the long run. And the struggle to make that happen is an example of struggling for the wrong thing. Right? It isn't the source of the problem. So human beings, often we get caught up in throwing things at this, trying to build something for the symptom instead of getting to the crux of the problem. So instead of taking a political look, let's look at medicine. Right? What does your doctor do? You go in and you tell them you have a problem. The first thing they want to do is throw a drug at you for your symptom, never really addressing the underlying problem. So if you're following me on this, then what gate 38 seems to suggest is how much stuff are we doing where we're just throwing things out at the symptom, but we're not really getting to the depth of what the struggle is all about. So if we look in the human body, if we're, just throwing drugs at symptoms, we're never getting to maybe the more mental, emotional, or spiritual cause of the problem. And the wall may be a drug that we're just throwing out there to cover up a symptom of illegal immigration, let's say, but we never get to the crux of that problem, which is the horrible conditions that people are living in those countries that cause them to want to immigrate in the first place. And I'm not saying it's I'm not saying it's our job to correct that or anything, but I'm saying it's how this energy works in our human designs, right? You're designed to struggle. You are designed to fight, but for the right things, right? For things that are adaptive, for things that can become foundational in supporting of our humanity, right? Because humanity is the key, not the wall, not borders, not the land. It is about the humanity of it all. So struggling to bring in the right adaptations, the right the right things to change the world for the better. So a good chunk of Saturn, our lessons, our karma right now is about maybe the structures that we've built that are not adaptive, that are not sustainable, and our resistance to looking at the bigger, deeper picture and instead just throwing up a $5 billion wall or taking a drug to mask a symptom. So I hope that makes sense for people. Now, that means for all of us, we're all a part of this struggle, but it's the bigger picture of humanity here and the karmic lessons about it that are important for us. Now, in August, then, I'm sorry. it is at that gate until February 3rd. On February 3rd, it is going to move backwards into, well, or forward into gate 54. And I want to remind you, gate 54, we spent a lot of time with because Saturn was teaching us about having aspirations and goals. And the highest expression of the gate 54 that Saturn will be moving into again is about ascension. How do we move forward? How do we elevate? How do we evolve that spiral, right? How do we evolve? And it is in August where Saturn will move back into the gate 38, the gate of struggle. And then it will go back to the 54 yet again. Remember, planets retrograde. So they're dancing between this idea of aspiring and ascension and this idea of struggling and persevering for the right things. Ultimately, what occurs for Saturn at the end of the year, so in December, it catches up to Pluto at gate 61 that we just talked about last week, or maybe it was the week before, the shadow of which is psychosis, where we're talking about the mass hallucination, the mass psychosis that all of humanity is under, right? And what takes us from that psychosis is inspiration, becoming inspirited, right? Using spirit as a way to be able to manage what it is that we're doing. What would spirit do? What is the higher level awareness of what is going on here, right? Moving ourselves from being in the lower fear-bound energies and moving ourselves up through that to the gift level, if we're talking the gene keys, and to be able to aspire to moving beyond these petty problems that we have. They seem so big, but they're really all born out of the same thing: fear, right? Fear of other, fear of losing out our resources to illegal aliens, fear of not having enough. Any fear that you wanted to talk about is based in our not our inability to evolve upward into the higher order gene keys. Totally lost my train of thought there for a minute. So let me just backtrack for a second. So right now, this moment, until February 3rd, we are dealing with the energy of struggle, the karma of struggling for the right things, right? Where we want to persevere with the changes and transformations that are adaptive, not the ones that are maladaptive. From February, we're going to be dealing a bit with the energy again of 54, which is about aspiring to ascend, to evolve. Then we are going to move back in August to 38 and struggle some more. And then ultimately we land at gate 61, where we have to address the mass psychosis in order to grow and expand into our Jupiter rewards. So let's look at what Jupiter is rewarding us with if we're able to move through this. For one thing, right now, it's about patience. And we are looking at having to be in the rhythm and flow of the universal energies and not outside of that flow, right? We recognize that there's a season for everything, and everything has its time and its rhythm. From there, Jupiter will move into the gate of integrity, gate 26. Now, gate 26 is sitting right over here on the ego center. It's at this point right here. And it moves from the spleen, from the ego center down to the spleen. And the spleen, as we all know, is the center where survival, this is where all the fear gates generate from, right? All the fear generates from the spleen, because fear in our original form, our original humanity, was a survival mechanism, right? Fight, flight, or freeze served us well. We've been able to evolve and grow and expand and, literally become the dominant force on the planet because of those survival energies. But unfortunately, those survival energies morphed into false evidence appearing real, fears. I am no longer worried that something is going to eat me. And so I don't necessarily have to, go out and have my bow and arrow, spear and gun to protect myself from the, animals that are, possibly going to take my life. But those fears still morphed into the energies we see today. We call them false evidence appearing real. So the gate 26 then is asking us to stay in integrity. It's pulling up the fear that the past is going to repeat itself, right? So literally the past fear here, and when we look at this bigger picture across the backdrop of Saturn, the fear is that of tribalness, right? Where tribes had to protect their resources, their land, their people, and they determined that everyone else was other. If you weren't part of the tribe, you were other, you were suspect, you were alien, you were enemy. And unfortunately, we as humanity, we haven't lost that yet. We are still resonating with that fear of other. So when someone wants to move into our country, we are automatically, from our survival energies, the baggage we're carrying from the past, we are automatically suspicious. We are automatically kicking into an old fear of not being able to survive, of having our toys taken away from us, our gifts taken away from us, our resources taken away from us. So it's deep-seated, right? This is deep-seated stuff, and we're reacting to it rather unconsciously. So here we have to learn that one reward for our doing that Saturn work is that we get to gain our authority and our integrity. We get to be true to ourselves. Truly, humans at their best are very generous. They are giving and loving and kind. That is who we truly are. But a vestige of our fearful past is that we are suspicious of other. So we get to work through that. When we do, the next gift that we're brought is light, is idealism. By the way, my Earth sits at gate 11. This is the gate I'm talking about. Gate 11 is up here on the Ajna, this right here, and it moves down toward the throat center. It is the gate in its highest. It is light. It is transducing all the beautiful, yummy light waves through your DNA and living from light. In its shadow or its fear, it's obscurity. It is not being able to see the forest for the trees. It is living in the dark. So this is a time for us living through struggle and aspiring and letting go of that psychosis. We move into the reward of light and idealism. And then gate 10 is also a place that we can gain reward this year. It's self-love. It is the place where we empower one another to be our best, where we don't take away from one another, where we don't sort of covet what other people have and try to take away their toys in favor of us. We share, right? We share because we love the love of ourself means that we're okay no matter what is going on around us. And finally, the final gift at the end of the year is that of bliss and joy. Remember, Saturn was sitting there for a long time. Saturn, in the mid to early part of 2018, sat at the gate of joy, and then it retrograded, and then it moved back. And so we were learning that a foundational energy of human beings is joy, is bliss, is that vitality, right? That happiness, that it's not something that we have from outside of us, that it's foundational to us. So we get to experience that if we can move through the Saturn lessons. Now, you can do this also individually. It doesn't mean that we have to wait for all of humanity to catch up with us. For God's sakes, I'm not sure there's some people out there that will catch up, right? There's several people out there that I look at and I shake my head and I'm like, where did you come from? But you yourself can move through each of these energies, and even though they are leveled at the transpersonal, meaning they're sort of the bridging energies between you as an individual, but us as a collective, you can still move yourself into resonance with these energies. Vanita says, bring on bliss and joy. Yes. Mimi says, gosh, we see this so clearly reflected globally, even being aware of a very bumpy road, aiming for the high road. Exactly, right? That's why I do what I'm doing. That's why I speak like this, because if we don't take the highest light energy of gate 11, which is the gift is idealism. If we can't hold on to ideals, if we can't take our Venus values as human beings and live from them, we are doomed to continue struggling. We are doomed to continue with the downer energies, the psychosis energies. Do you want to keep living the psychosis of what our world is right now? Do you want to continue living in struggle and fear and the ugliness? Or do you want to evolve? There's the basic question, right? The world is going to evolve. The pressure to evolve is there. You either move along with it or you continue fighting and struggling against it. Your choice, right? Your choice. So again, the responsibility lies within you, but these are the bigger energies that are pushing us in that direction. What is the gate of joy, Janet? Sorry, I did not say it was gate 58. Gate 58 down here on the root center, right here, very, very bottom. So where we start the human design year is at gate 41. Where we end the human design year is literally the sun at the end of the year in December, right around Christmas time, sits at the gate 58, the gate of joy and bliss. It's pretty interesting when you think about it. We make a full circle through the whole of the human design through the year. Okay. Now let's take any questions about Saturn and Jupiter. I mean, I knew this was going to be a longer morning. I'm wondering if maybe I should break it up from here and do Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto tomorrow. What do people think? Are you overdone now? Are you overfilled? Do you want to sit and think about this for a while? Because literally, I think I could do an entire show tomorrow on Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto's movement, not to mention the North Node and the South Node. So what do you think? I'm thinking I may break here and go into the outer planets tomorrow. But let me just say this. If you have questions about your own personal human design chart, you can certainly email them to me here, Living Astrology, astrology111 at Gmail. And did that show up there? Yeah. You can email me questions. Now, don't expect me to do an entire reading for you without paying for a reading. I know sometimes I get questions from people and then they get quite put out when I'm like, dude, I can't answer this in a simple, paragraph or so. If you are really that interested in your human design, get a reading. Then we look at all of the gates in the context of you and not just in the context of what's happening as transits, right? So a reading is a much more in-depth picture of you. If you have a quick question, I will be happy to answer that, but don't expect me to go through your whole human design for you because that's just not fair to make me do that for you for free. Okay? Because otherwise the conversation has to become truncated and you don't get the full picture of who you really are, right? So, and I'm exceedingly generous and I really would spend the time doing it, much to my own detriment. So I'm having to learn lessons about boundaries this year. And I'm trying that desperately, right? That is my big lesson. So I'm going to draw the boundaries, right? Ask a question, yes, but don't expect me to give you a long diatribe about what your human design is because I can't do it, all right? If you want a reading, you can go to my website, living-astrology.com, and order a reading. Then you have 90 minutes of my attention on you. And then a 30 or 45-minute follow-up afterwards to be able to clean up, right? To get all of those details put into play that you might have missed. So if you want to do that, I'm game for that. If you have a quick question, I'm game for that. Okay. Everybody's saying tomorrow. Awesome. I think that's a great idea. So tomorrow we will take up Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and maybe get into the nodes. The nodes move faster though. So that may be a whole nother day. So tomorrow we'll get into the rest. In the meantime, Debbie, thank you so much for drawing a card for us. That's a perfect card. Yang, the most masculine energy out there, the gate one, where we are looking at what is our life purpose and using that energy to move out creatively into the world. So happy Human Design New Year's Day to you. And I will see you all tomorrow morning right here, 8 a.m. Don't forget tomorrow, Wednesday, I will also be on air at 3 o'clock my time, 6 p.m. East Coast time on Angel Heart Radio, which is a blog talk radio station. And I will post that link up for you guys later today. And on Thursday, I will be at my friend Cornelia's house where, guess what I'm going to do? I had this great idea while I was chatting with all of you this morning to take up the energy of gate 54, which is the gate of ascension in its highest, aspiration in its gift, while we are doing the Ascension and Astrology show. Whew! So we'll talk about that deeper. So that is where Saturn, right? Saturn there at gate 54. We'll take that up on Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. East Coast time. So lots of opportunities to learn lots of things this week. All right, everybody, take care. Mwah! Love to everyone. Have a great day. See you in the morning.